Om Ajnanatamrindasya. No. Please accept my humble obeisances of you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naran Chaiva Narottam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtiprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Kirim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Om Ajnanatamrindasya Gyanjanashalakya Chakshurum Militamena तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते जगताक स्वामिनिति नाम्नि नमाचार्य पदाय निताय कृपप्रदायिनि गौरकथा दामताय नगरग्रामतारिणि नमः विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नाम्नि नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणि जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य ब्रह्म नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Srimad Bhagvatam Canto 7 Chapter 7 Text 25 The matter of what Prahlada learned in the womb. Buddhir jagaranam swapna susuptir itavrittaya tayenaivanubhuyante sodhyaksha purusha para. This is text 25. Buddhehe, of the intelligence. Jagaranam, the waking or active state of the gross senses. Swapnaha, dreaming, the activity of the senses without the gross body. Susuptihi, deep sleep or cessation of all activities, although the living entity is the seer. Iti, thus, vrittaya, the various transactions. Taha, they. Yena, by whom. Eva, indeed. Anubhuyante, are perceived. Saha, that. Adhyaksha, overseer, who's different from the activities. Purushaha, the enjoyer. Paraha, transcendental. Intelligence can be perceived in three states of activity: wakefulness, dreaming, and deep sleep. The person who perceives these three is to be considered the original master, the ruler, the supreme personality of Godhead. Purport: without intelligence, one cannot understand the direct activities of the senses, nor can he understand dreaming or the cessation of all gross and subtle activities. The seer and controller is the supreme personality of Godhead, the super soul, by whose direction the individual soul can understand when he is awake, when he is sleeping, and when he is completely in trance. In Bhagavad Gita 15.15, the Lord says, Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto mattah smritir jnanam apohanam cha. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. The living entities are completely absorbed in the three states of wakefulness, dreaming, and deep sleep through their intelligence. And this intelligence is supplied by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who accompanies the individual soul as a friend. Srila Madhvacharya says that the living entity is sometimes described as Sattva Buddhi, when his intelligence acts directly to perceive pains and pleasures above activities. There is dreaming state in which understanding comes from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Mattah Smritir Jnanam Apohanam Cha. Mm. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Super Soul, is the Supreme Controller, and under his direction, The living entities are sub-controllers. One must understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead with one's intelligence. So we will read one more shloka and maybe the other also, so that to get a complete understanding of this whole procedure of how the intelligence acts. Text 26. Epistri varnai paryastair buddhi bedhai kriyodbhavai swarupam atmano buddhyed gandher vayum ivan vayat. As one can understand the presence of the air by the aromas it carries, so under the guidance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can understand the living soul by these three divisions of intelligence. These three divisions, however, are not the soul. They are constituted of the three modes and are born of activities. As already explained, there are three states of our existence, namely wakefulness, dreaming, and deep sleep. In all three states, we have different experiences. Thus, the soul is the observer of these three states. Actually, the activities of the body are not the activities of the soul. The soul is different from the body, just as aromas are distinct from the material vehicle in which they are carried. The soul is unattached to material activities. This analysis can be considered by a person who is fully under the shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. This is confirmed by the Vedic injunction, Yasmin Vijnate Sarvam Evam Vijnatam Bhavati. If one can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can automatically understand everything else. Because of not taking shelter of the Lord's lotus feet, even great scholars, scientists, philosophers, and religionists always bewildered. This is confirmed in Srimad Bhagvatam 10.2.32. Ye anye aravindaksha vimukta maninas tvai asta bhavad avishuddha buddhaya. Even though one may artificially think himself liberated from material contamination, if he has not taken shelter of the Lord's lotus feet, his intelligence is polluted. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 3.42, Indriyani parani ahur, indriyebhya param mana, manasastu para buddhir, yo buddhe paratastu sa. Above the senses is the mind. Above the mind is the intelligence, and above the intelligence is the soul. Ultimately, when one's intelligence becomes clear through devotional service, one is situated in Buddhi Yoga. This also is explained in Bhagavad Gita. Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yenamam Upayanti Te. When devotional service develops and one's intelligence becomes clear, one can use his intelligence to return home back to Godhead. And this third verse is also connected. So, in order to understand this very clearly, I would like to read that also. Etadvaro hi samsaro gunakarma nibandhana ajnanamulo parthopi pumsaswapna ivarpyate. Through polluted intelligence, one is subjected to the modes of nature, and thus one is conditioned by material existence, like a dreaming state in which one falsely suffers. Material existence, which is due to ignorance, must be considered unwanted and temporary. Purport. The unwanted condition of temporary life is called ignorance. One can very easily understand that the material body is temporary, for it is generated at a certain date and ends at a certain date after undergoing the six kinds of change, namely birth, death, growth, maintenance, transformation, and dwindling. This condition of the eternal soul is due to his ignorance, and although it's temporary, it is unwanted. Because of ignorance, one is put into temporary bodies one after another. The spirit soul, however, does not need to enter such temporary bodies. He does so only due to his ignorance or his forgetfulness of Krishna. Therefore, in the human form of life, When one's intelligence is developed, one should change his consciousness by trying to understand Krishna. Then one can be liberated. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 4.9, where the Lord says, Janma karma chame divyam evam yo vetti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma na iti mam eti so Arjuna. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode. O Arjuna, unless one understands Krishna and comes to Krishna consciousness, one must continue in material bondage. To end this conditional life, one must surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Indeed, that is demanded by the Supreme Lord. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. As advised by Maharaja Rishabdeva, na sadhu manye yata atmano ayam asan api kleshada asadeha. One must be intelligent enough to understand that although one's body is temporary and will not endure for long as one has a body, he must undergo the pangs of material existence. Therefore, if by good association, by the instructions of a bona fide spiritual master, one takes to Krishna consciousness, his conditional life of material existence is vanquished, and his original consciousness, known as Krishna consciousness, is revived. When one is Krishna conscious, he can realize that material existence, whether one is awake or dreaming, is nothing but a dream and has no factual value. This realization is possible by the grace of the Supreme Lord. This grace is also present in the form of the instructions of the Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission is for everyone to engage in welfare activities to awaken the foolish living entity, especially in human society, so that he may come to the platform of Krishna consciousness and benefit by liberation from conditional life. In this connection, Srila Madhvacharya cites the following verses. Dukkha rupopi samsaro buddhipuram vapyate yata swapne shiraschedam swayam kritvatmano vasah tato dukkam avapyeta tata jagrito pitu janan api atmano dukkam avashastu pravartate. One must realize that the material condition of life is full of distresses. One can realize this with purified intelligence. When one's intelligence is purified, he can understand that unwanted, temporary, material life is just like a dream. Just as one suffers pain when his head is cut off in a dream, in ignorance one suffers not only while dreaming, but also while awake. Without the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one continues in ignorance and is thus subjected to material distresses in various ways. So, this is the complete material existence. I mean, it gives us a complete understanding about what exactly is, how is this body functioning? Because the body is made up of senses, in, mind, and intelligence, right? These three things are there. And then above everything is the soul. We saw that. Now, this is completely alien to the soul. It's a new body. And how does the soul is not connected with the body. It is mentioned that like the air, which is carrying the aroma. Through the aroma, we can know that air is there. Similarly, in the body, actually, those soul is nothing to do with the body. But because of the soul's existence and the body, which is the soul is actually not the body, but the soul has to think that it is the body. It has to function as if it's the body. Now, how can it do like that? Because soul has nothing to do with the body. And so the interface where the soul thinks that it is the body is through the intelligence. And that is why it's called, Prabhupada said, intelligence is the next door to the soul. The intelligence makes one think, identify with the body, and go through, the consciousness normally. There is pure consciousness in the soul, and that has no modes of material nature. When we are fully self realized, when we are completely aware that I am the soul, then we are only thinking about the soul. We are not even aware of the body. Because in the Bhagavad Gita, it's also mentioned how a self realized soul, he just sees that all the activities which are happening in the body are, I mean, he is just a witness. He is not thinking it's my body. He is just watching it in a detached way. Everything happens on its own. So that is the soul's natural state. But now, because the soul has not surrendered to Krishna, in our original state, the soul is always part and parcel of Krishna, and he's always aware that I'm not this body. But because there is no question of material body in a surrendered soul. But because the soul had this desire of having an existence separate from Krishna, and so Krishna created this human body. And how can the soul identify with the body? Only with the help of Krishna. And that is why it's saying, um, how this happens is explained. Intelligence is, Krishna says, I am intelligence in man. And he is providing this intelligence by which the, we identify with the body, and we are conscious of what is happening within the body. Because now I'm thinking this impure intelligence, through which I'm identifying with my body. And I can be aware that when I'm awake, when my senses are acting, and then um, when I'm sleeping or dreaming, deep sleep, all these three states, the soul is not aware. I mean, soul is sort of, it's sleeping, it's not active at all. It is identifying with this material intelligence, which makes, because we are now very body conscious, and this is what we are aware about. Actually, when creation takes place in this material universe, first the senses were created, and that is in the mode of tamoguna, just the gross senses. And second, the material, intelligence is the second creation, and the intelligence is in the mode of passion. Because material intelligence makes us aware about all the activities of this material world within our own bodies, as well as what is happening externally in this world. So that is the function of the mode of passion, and the direct creation of the mode of passion is material intelligence. And then in Sattva Guna is the mind. Mind was created because mind is a state. Um, Mind is, um, the mind can determine in which direction we will go. So the mind is the fundamental thing which can actually liberate us or keep us in bondage. So these three states, and so here we're talking about intelligence and how this functions. The direct, see, when we are acting, we're aware that the senses are acting, the body is functioning, and that happens through the intelligence. The intelligence acts through the growth. Intelligence is the software, and the hardware of the intelligence is the brain, right? So we know when brain is not functioning, we are completely unaware what's happening to our body. So intelligence is what helps us to become aware about that I am existing, I am this body, and it helps us to engage the senses in activities. And when we are dreaming, also we are aware. We go through, we may not be aware that I'm actually dreaming, but whatever experiences we are undergoing, and we think that I'm only experiencing. And that is also happening through intelligence. And deep sleep, that state also, intelligence is completely um, not aware. But that state is also intelligence. I mean, when you awaken and then you realize I was in deep sleep. So, all these three states are perceived by the intelligence, and intelligence, Krishna says, is directly given by Krishna, because he says, from me comes knowledge, forgetfulness, and remembrance, all the activity of the intelligence. And Krishna also says, I am intelligence in man. So, the person who perceives these three is to be considered the original master, the ruler, the supreme personality of Godhead. So, from him only we get all this intelligence to understand in what state I'm functioning now, or I'm sleeping. Because you must remember, I'm not this body at all. And I have to feel that I am this body and use all my intelligence is provided to me to function, to make, figure out about how to act and how to survive in this material world. So all that is coming from Krishna. And so, Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivisto matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. So, this intelligence of understanding all this is coming from Supreme Personality of Godhead, who accompanies the individual soul as a friend. And Madhvacharya is saying that the living entity is sometimes described as Sattva Buddhi, when his intelligence acts directly to perceive pains and pleasures above activities. So the mental, this thing to understand, because intelligence, as I told you, it is in the mode of passion. And normally, they're so engrossed in doing the activities and getting pleasure out of just doing, performing. Just by engaging in activities, living entities are very happy. They're getting something, whichever body we are in. A dog is very happy to go around barking and running around, and birds are very happy. They're enjoying themselves flying, and human beings and also engaging in different activities. Because in the mode of passion, people want to be engaged in material activities, either with their body, mind, or intelligence. Constantly, they like to be engaged in something. They feel if you repress people, don't do anything, sit in one place, they feel very disturbed. So, intelligence is one of mode of passion, one full of activity. Now, when we are engaged in that activity, we don't even consider the pains and pleasures. I mean, we think that is part of life, we are not even aware. So, in Sattva Guna, um, Sattva Buddhi, living entity is sometimes described as Sattva Buddhi when his intelligence acts directly to perceive pains and pleasures above the activities. So that is on the subtle level when we can understand that what am I getting? I mean, what a miserable situation I am in. Can animals understand that they are in a miserable situation? They don't. They just act. That's all. And beings also likewise. Most people don't even think, what are we talking about? That material miseries. What are you talking about? I'm quite happy in this material world. There's so many things to enjoy in this material world. So, in Sattva Guna only we can think beyond just the mode of passion of activities and instead perceive the what we are undergoing, directly to perceive pains and pleasures above the activities. And then there is dreaming state in which understanding comes from the supreme personality of Godhead. So that dreaming state also, because it is also like a machine, the body is like a machine. And to imagine, to actually identify with the body, the machine is set forth by the Lord only. So, this intelligence, which is given by Krishna, makes us also go through those experiences with our intelligence, even in the dreaming state, thinking that I am this person, or we may have different kinds of bodies and different kinds of dreams. All this is set in motion by, I mean, what we're able to go through those experiences, everything is created by the Lord through our intelligence. It is the interface by which we, in forgetting we are the soul, we identify with the body. Without this intelligence, it's not possible. How else will we think that, I'm this machine? Okay. So it is only because of this intelligence which is set in motion by the Supreme Lord. It's like pressing a button. You have a robot or some doll, which is um, acting. Which can walk, talk, and we have walkie-talkie dolls and all that. And you have to set a button in motion, then it will start doing. It's like that. We're not at all, uh, we're not the robot or we're not this doll, but we have to think I'm this doll. So who can do that? Only Krishna, by giving us that, that intelligence, by which we identify with the body. So if we want to come out of this forgetfulness, then one must understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead with one's intelligence. Right now, we are using intelligence, that is a conditioned soul who hasn't come to Krishna, is always using all the intelligence for sense gratification through either wakefulness, through all activities, through his intelligence, subtle things of creation, creating certain things, and enjoying through his senses. So he is using his intelligence only for sense gratification through the body and mind. But he has to use this intelligence given by Krishna to understand Krishna, to understand him. That is the perfection of intelligence. And as one can understand the presence of the air by the aromas it carries, so under the guidance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can understand the living soul by these three divisions of intelligence. So, because intelligence is acting, and then we can um, we can understand the presence of the living soul through this intelligence only, because we know that when we reflect, when we understand why I cannot be the body, right? We Dehino asmin yata dehe, how the body goes through different stages, and how am I aware about myself in all these different states of the body. So, like that, we use our intelligence. Um, we can understand the presence of the Atma. That is how, and through analysis, initially, through chanting Hare Krishna mantra, we become directly aware of the presence of the soul. But before that, to be convinced that I am the soul, we use our intelligence, right? And Krishna himself talks about, see how you're going through different stages of the body is completely changing. But how is it that you're the same person? So, through the use of intelligence, also, we come to understand that that there is a soul separate from this body. These three divisions, however, are not the soul. They are constituted of the three modes and are born of activities. So, these three states, the activities, the awareness of these three states, they're not coming from the soul. The soul is always awake. The body goes through these three stages. Soul never goes to sleep. Soul doesn't dream and all that. In the spiritual world, people just may, just for the sake of pastimes, they may be night and day and all, but that's again, it is a different kind of sleep, like yoga nidra. Soul doesn't go to sleep the way we sleep through the body. Completely, when our tamoguna sleep is, we're not aware of anything, and a bomb may also be dropped and we continue sleeping. So this this is because of the three modes of material nature. Sattva guna is when we are awake, and dreaming mode of this thing, passion, and deep sleep is in tamoguna. And so they are born of the three modes: wakefulness, dreaming, and deep sleep. And we have different experiences. Thus, the soul is the observer of these three states. Actually, the activities of the body are not the activities of the soul. The soul is different from the body, just as aromas are distinct from the material vehicle in which they are carried. Soul is unattached to material activities. So this is very fundamental to coming out. When the experiences in the body becomes unbearable, if people understand that I'm not the body at all, why am I getting so much worked up about this? Then we'll not be disturbed. Okay, I have something much better. This is eternal life, and I have some wonderful, my consciousness, I can be engaged in some other completely a new life, a different life, where I can be meditating on the Supreme Lord. And there are spiritual activities which are completely distinct from the material body. So this is what spiritual awakening, which has to happen in for us to come out of this material miseries. And this can happen, so the soul is different from the body, just as aromas are distinct from the material vehicle in which they are carried. The soul is unattached to material activities. So the soul is carrying the three modes, the body, but this aroma is different from the air, and similarly, or rather, the air is different from the aromas it carries. Similarly, the soul is different from the body, mind, intelligence, whatever, all this material things, it's completely separate from this. This analysis can be considered by a person who's fully under the shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. So that is where this, so it is Krishna the same Krishna who's making us think I'm this body. He gives us this material intelligence, can also completely wake us up and give us spiritual awareness that I'm not this body, but I'm part and parcel of Krishna. And that is why Yasmin Vijnate Sarvam Evam Vijnatam Bhavati. One who knows, one can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead can automatically understand everything else. Because the soul is full of intelligence, being part and parcel of Krishna. It can never become so foolish to think I'm this body. But because the soul desired a separate existence from Krishna, Krishna can cover us. Only He can do that and make us feel we are separate from Him and having a very good time or a bad time, whatever. We want to have a good time without Krishna, so He engages us. But then because Krishna is not there, we do all foolish things, and then our situation becomes worse and worse. And so we get into a lot of sinful activities, and then we have to face the consequences, all these things. But if one can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can automatically understand everything else. When you wake up, then you understand, oh, what is this? What was I doing? This was all just not true. Because of not taking shelter of the Lord's lotus feet, even great scholars, scientists, philosophers, and religious always bewildered. So it is not enough if you just theoretically understand everything and you can quote which verse says what and about all the three modes and everything. You may theoretically understand or intellectually understand also. But unless we surrender to Krishna, that is the time in which we're actually ready to be in our original situation. The as long as we are still holding on to understanding this world through our material, faculties, namely intelligence or or through the mind, because these are because of some attachment, I still want some sense gratification out of my body, so I'm still attached to thinking I'm the body. And in this state, if I try to understand Krishna, or understand truth about and It is just theoretical. I'm saying that no, no, this is all illusion. I'm not this body. I may be very intellectually aware about it, but because I've still not come to my spiritual platform, that can happen only when I connect with Krishna completely and have no and only I'm ready to abide by whatever he says. I don't want a separate existence from him in any realm, in any condition, completely. There is no privacy from Krishna. Actually, there is no privacy, but Krishna gives us this illusory feeling of private moments. Now, I did for Krishna. For some time, I do for Krishna. Then I want my own space. So Krishna agrees to give it. Okay, you think I'm not there, you enjoy. But actually, only that is only in a sleeping state. I mean, Krishna creates that situation by which we think we are separated from him. And only by taking shelter of Krishna, Krishna can take away that misunderstanding. And again, we can see that how very intimately we are connected with Krishna. We can never, never, never be separated from him. Then only can we come out of this misunderstanding, misidentification with the gross body, mind, intelligence, and so on. So, until we may artificially think ourselves liberated from material contamination, but if we do not take shelter of the Lord's lotus feet, our intelligence is polluted, still attached to our body mind intelligence. Ultimately, when one's intelligence becomes clear through devotional service, then only one is situated in Buddhi Yoga. That is real intelligence, Buddhi. That is spiritual intelligence. That This is also explained in the Bhagavad Gita. Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yenamam Upayanti Te. That Buddhi is also given by Krishna only. All intelligence is coming from Krishna. When devotional service develops and one's intelligence becomes clear, one can use his intelligence to return home back to Godhead. So, through polluted intelligence, what happens? One is subjected to the modes of nature because we are still thinking I'm this body, and how to manipulate it nicely to have a good time. And thus, one is conditioned by material existence. That is the only cause. We get the polluted intelligence through Krishna because we desired it. And thus, one is conditioned by material existence, like a dreaming state in which one falsely suffers. So, that also Krishna is, shows us how in the material experience itself, we know the difference between the time when we are awake and the time when we are dreaming. When we are dreaming, actually, it is not true state of affairs. We are just falsely thinking whatever situation happens in the dream. We identify with that dream-like situation and we suffer or enjoy in that dream. And then when we wake up, we realize, oh, that was just false thing. It was temporary, false. And why did I honestly think the dream? During the dream, how foolishly I identify myself with that situation. So by even in the material experience, we see the difference between wakefulness and dream. And then we using our intelligence, we can understand, okay, there is a real state of mind which is different from this material existence where I'm thinking this is all true. This is also like a dream because this doesn't, I mean, this is just like I'm thinking I'm this machine. I'm not this machine at all. Unwanted condition of temporary life is called ignorance. One can very easily, though through polluted intelligence, one is subjected to the modes of nature and thus one is conditioned by material existence, like a dreaming state in which one falsely suffers. Material existence, which is due to ignorance, must be considered unwanted and temporary. Just like we don't want to have dreams, isn't it? When we go to sleep, we want to have a nice sleep. We don't want dreams. Nobody says that, oh, let me have. Of course, we wish each other sweet dreams. That is there. That is total ignorance. Dream is a dream. Why should you have sweet dreams? You should sleep nicely, peacefully, without any dreams. But people think that, okay, let me enjoy even in the dream state. So those who are very materially attached, they are only thinking of pleasurable experiences, whether it's real or dream, it doesn't matter. I should feel happy somehow. That is foolishness. So, um, but an intelligent person will think when it is not true, why should I have it? It's temporary, and and it's totally unwanted because the soul is very happy. Satchit Ananda. Why should I desire some other kind of existence? That too, it is all temporary and false. So unwanted. One can very easily understand that the material body is temporary, for it is generated at a certain date and so on. This condition of eternal soul is due to his ignorance. And although it's temporary, it is unwanted. So only because of ignorance does this most intelligent soul be put in this situation of identification with this gross body and mind, thinking I'm this machine. So it is totally, why should we subject ourselves to complete ignorance? Soul, however, does not need to enter such temporary bodies. Because of the ignorance, we are put into so many birth after birth into how many types of bodies. Why should we undergo this? There's no need. He does so only due to his ignorance or his forgetfulness of Krishna. That is the only reason. Therefore, in the human form of life, when one's intelligence is developed, one should change his consciousness by trying to understand Krishna. Then one can be liberated, right? That is the only purpose of this life, to remember Krishna again and become liberated, not subject ourselves through this repeated births and deaths and different bodies and going through all these activities, which is not true at all, thinking I'm one doll and I just become energized and then I start acting, oh, like whatever the body tells me, doll, a robot, a machine, and whatever the body, I may not want to do so many things, but the body is forcing me to do so many things and then get into all kinds of problems. And so the only auspicious thing is to, in this material world, is to know that, oh, if I know Krishna, there is another person. I'm not alone here. In this body with me is Krishna. Unless one understands and comes to Krishna consciousness, one must continue in material bondage. And Krishna says, one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. So, if we understand, oh, I've got this friend who is not subject to all these sufferings, like he seems to be very cool, not affected by anything. He's not at all affected by the, this material. I mean, because he comes and shows also his nature. Krishna appears, and we can see how he is not affected by anything in this material world like the way I am. So he is transcendental, he is beyond this body mind syndrome. And then, if we take shelter, that is how we have to understand that something, he is transcendental. Then only we also will become transcendental by taking shelter of him. One must be intelligent enough to understand that although one's body is temporary and will not endure for long, as long one as long as one has a body, he must undergo the pangs of material existence. Therefore, if by good association, by the instructions of a bona fide spiritual master, one takes to Krishna consciousness, his conditional life of material existence is vanquished, and his original consciousness, known as Krishna consciousness, is revived. And when one is Krishna conscious, he can realize that material existence, whether one is awake or dreaming, is nothing but a dream and has no factual value. And this realization is possible by the grace of the Supreme Lord. And this grace is also present in the form of the instructions of the Bhagavad Gita. So if we read Bhagavad Gita, that's why, and especially when Bhagavad Gita is explained by Srila Prabhupada, where the supreme truth is evident in every word, every sentence. It is only talking about the pure existence of the soul. And that's why when people read that book, they are, that's true, I've never read. What is this? Awakening from the dream-like state we are. And suddenly you read absolute truth coming from the spiritual dimension. Then the soul awakens. That is the fortunate ones. Most people don't want to open it even. I'm enjoying my dream. Leave me alone. So, therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission is for everyone to engage in welfare activities to awaken the foolish living entity, especially in human society, so that he may come to the platform of Krishna consciousness and benefit by liberation from conditional life. So, this is, one must realize, material condition of life is full of distresses. One can realize this with purified intelligence. Otherwise, if sense gratification gives us happiness, then that is impure intelligence. Impure intelligence is telling us how to enjoy nicely in this material world, use, get more degrees, earn more money, buy more buildings, more cars, and enjoy yourself. This is happiness. That is impure intelligence. And purified intelligence, we think, what's the purpose of all this? It is giving me more pain, diseases, and you know, I'm not able to, through more sense gratification, I'm just getting degraded. All this happens through proper intelligence, and that intelligence is awakened through association. Prabhupada, when he came to America, the people thought, the Americans, most of them were thinking, oh, we are so advanced, we've got cars, and see how we are enjoying ourselves. And once Prabhupada was walking around the beach, along the beach, and then he asked the devotees, what are these people doing? Because they were surfing, on the boards and jumping the waves and all that. And so the devotee said, this is called surfing. Surfing? This is suffering. Prabhupada said. They thought that they're enjoying themselves. This is what material intelligence makes you think. Oh, great fun. Let's go and surf, jump on the waves, and so nice. They were people enjoy sports and all that. They're not even aware that, can you hear me? They're not even aware that actually it is suffering. Because from the spiritual platform, devotees who have got a higher taste by chanting and doing devotional services, they cannot enjoy in all these, like, for example, if you go to an exhibition and all that, most people are thrilled. Oh, Ferris wheel, go up and down, screaming. They think they're enjoying themselves. Mostly devotees, after some years of devotional service, they don't want to do all those things. They don't get joy out of going for joy rides like that because it's a physical activity. And what is there? You're not getting so much joy from that. We are getting happiness from doing Sankirtana and chanting and dancing and eating prasadam and preaching. These are the activities, spiritual activities, which give happiness to devotees because you have woken up from the slumber thinking, I'm this body. As long as one thinks I'm the body, then the intelligence makes us squeeze out as much happiness and joy from the body and the mind. But even in devotional service, we have to be very careful. Just because now, theoretically, to a large extent, and we are getting some experiences as a soul, but still, attachment to the body and mind is very strong. And we may be using, just a minute. Can you please excuse me for a second? Sorry, sorry for the break. And But still, we may be using devotional service also for subtle enjoyment. Gross enjoyment, we know we are not the body. I don't enjoy all these things. They're what normal people, I mean, materialistic people, their kind of enjoyment. They like to just go to the bars and get drunk, and they just like to, um, you know, those sort of things, hang out here and there with their friends. And but we may not enjoy that. But subtle enjoyments still are lurking. And this is where we have to be very aware, because that is still keeping away from us, away from Krishna. We understand when we are chanting, there are two states of, we can understand our intelligence working in two states when we are chanting. One is mental state. When we are in the mental state, where we are identifying with the body and mind and fantasizing some happiness. And the other state is and so we have to be very aware about our. So when we are chanting, we have to completely take shelter only of the holy names, and any other thoughts and active thoughts which come, if from the mind, we have to completely ignore, because we know that is all based on sense gratification. That is all material activity, and the only spiritual activity coming from the soul is the Atma hearing the holy names, because Krishna is pure transcendental person. He's coming when we are chanting, we are associating with Krishna, and we have to beg him, please wake me up from my still, attachments to material sense gratification. And I don't want to identify with my body mind and still be in this dream state. Pull me out. And only Krishna can pull us out. Only He can give us purified intelligence. He only put us in this Maya in the first place. So that is why it's very important to be aware in which direction the intelligence is going. We want, the minute it is going towards thinking of material activities, we have to pull it back. No, I'm only going to hear the holy names. I want to wake up and realize my true self. That's very important. That is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has condensed it in such a wonderful way. We don't need to do all other, heavy duty austerities with the body, mind, deny the sense gratification and this, that, or the other. Chanting and hearing is more than enough. That will take us to the spiritual platform, and we will automatically lose taste. What is this? Honestly, I was thinking I'm this body and all the happiness is outside me. I thought, even mentally, fantasizing this and that. It's all state of mind. If you're thinking, I should be very popular, or I should have a lot of power, prestige, position, and popularity, and what else? All these subtle enjoyments which we think of. Um, that is also enjoying. Maybe nobody can see how you're enjoying with the mind, but you're not meditating on Krishna, you're meditating on something other than Krishna, which is giving you happiness. And so then we should be alert. No, no, no. That is again, it is just illusion. It is just going to keep me further in bondage, thinking I'm this body and then again taking different births. just for enjoying with my body and mind. So he has made it very, very, very simple for us to focus. We don't need, sometimes people think, oh, only chanting. Whereas, those yogis and all, they do so many austerities. We just chant, only hear the holy names. More than chanting, hearing. Hearing is very important. Hearing the holy names, associating with Krishna. Then the soul is waking up. Every day, it's waking up more and more. It's like somebody is sleeping. Slowly, you have to wake them up. So little by little, they're coming out of their dreamlike state and then slowly waking up. So our soul is waking up every day by associating with the holy name. Bit by bit, we are waking up, and then we realize, oh, what dream I was suffering, that is over now. And then I must be convinced that when I'm fully awake, I'm going to be the happiest person. So I want to quickly I don't want any kind of sleep. Some people may say, oh, it's very nice. Yesterday I had a very nice dream. Then we think, oh, I also wish to dream. Today I hope I have a very nice dream. That is ridiculous. What is the use of that dream? It is like that in material life. Somebody may, and you may think, oh, how fortunate that person is. Such nice dreams they dreamt. And I dreamt of such horrible dreams. What does it matter? Whether a nice dream or no bad dream, it's all, there should be no dream at all. That is temporary, and it's not real. So that is this conviction we must have, that all dreams are nonsense. Only reality of understanding my true position as the servant of Krishna is the only state in which I can be thoroughly happy. And that is the only thing we must be aspiring for and praying for when we are chanting. Krishna, wake me up soon. How long I'm going to be addicted to sense gratification? You only put me to sleep. Now you wake me up. He only did it, but we are responsible for that because we desired it. And now we have to convince Krishna. Now I don't desire it, Krishna. I really desire only to be with you, to serve you. We have to convince Krishna, then he'll wake us up. That's why Prabhupada said, in one moment also you can get this liberation. It's up to you. You have to be fully convinced. Yes, Krishna is my master. He's the enjoyer, and I'm a servant, and I have to give pleasure to him. If we can come to this conviction, you can wake up, because Krishna can only wake us up. He only put us to sleep. He can wake us up also very easily. That's why chanting is the most important activity of our lives. Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, my Dandavat Pranam.
Hare
All
Krishna. Dhanapana.
Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for the wonderful class, Mataji. I like
Thank
that
you. Hare Krishna.
what you were saying about the aroma. So you
Mm,
said that the soul is attached, is in the body just like a fragrance, right?
mm.
Fragrance of a flower.
Ah,
So the fragrance of the flower is coming to our nose, but that fragrance is not really attached to the flower.
no, no. It means
Yeah.
that, see, the air does not have any fragrance of its own. It is carrying the aroma. If it is blowing through flowers or something, then it carries that aroma and brings it to us. But the air does not have any fragrance of its own. It is something else which is added to it. The aroma is distinct from the air. But when it blows, because it is carrying that fragrance, we say that the air is very fragrant. Air is not fragrant or not fragrant. It has no fragrance. It is carrying the fragrance. Similarly, we are not these bodies. The soul is identifying with the body, the three modes. That is why we are separate from the body, but we think we are this body because we are carrying that. We are identifying with it.
Uh, So Mataji, like, yeah, I was really confused, like in the sense that yes, you said air doesn't have any smell, right? But suppose
Yes.
there's a plant or something, then that rose
Mm.
plant smell comes in the air, and
Mm.
we can smell it. So
Yes.
how is that connected to the our soul in the body? Is there a
Because
connection?
the soul is not at all this body,
Yeah.
but because of, it's like how the aroma in the air becomes completely connected, and we think that the air has become fragrant. We think that the soul has become the body. We identified, right? Conditioned soul thinks I am the body. He doesn't think that I am the soul, but I have a body. Not thinking like that. Thinking that I am the body. So actually, the air is nothing to do with the fragrance. But because the air is carrying the fragrance, we think air only is fragrant. Like that, the soul is wearing this dress of this body, and it's thinking, I am this body, whereas the body is not the soul at all.
Yes, Mataji. So Mataji, like when we talk about senses, right?
Mm.
We are like, for example, the nose. The nose is there. It's physically present on the face, and then we are smelling with the nose. So there's like a action going on at the same time. There is the sense is there, or maybe a better example will be that of ear. Like we're
Mm.
hearing from ears, and the ear is also present there. You know, Similarly, the physical presence of the ear is seen, and because ear is an important sense, we for hearing, like nose is only smelling. So similarly, like it's a sense, it is hearing, and it is there present on the side of our heads. So we can
Mm.
understand that sense. We understand that sense is there. Those senses are there, which are here, and we are hearing. Now,
Mm.
when it comes to mind and intelligence, it's more on a subtle level. It is
Yeah.
more like inside somewhere. The intelligence is there, mind is there. So but then at the same time they are both material, right?
Yeah.
So isn't it hard sometimes to understand, like we can mix up between mind and intelligence?
No, mind, see, it is
Actually,
intelligence which is helping you to understand everything.
the
Everything,
mind.
even about your senses and what is happening in your body, whether you're awake, whether your body is functioning, everything is coming from the intelligence, isn't it?
Okay.
To understand everything in this world about your body, about what is existing all around you, material things, that happens through the intelligence. And what is the mind? Mind is the direction in which mind takes us towards. Mind is the one which what determines how we want to enjoy ourselves, right? Because it is the sixth sense.
Hmm.
The senses are controlled by the mind, and the mind is decides that how I want to engage my intelligence, where I want to go, what I want to do, is all determined by the mind.
Mataji, when
And
they sing, yeah, you go ahead, Mataji.
so senses, we use the mind, engages the senses in sense gratification,
Okay.
and the mind, the when we are conditioned, what happens is the mind engages the intelligence to use all the material things for sense gratification. And the real enjoyer is the mind, because the mind is getting great happiness in engaging all the senses for sense gratification, utilizing the intelligence. So the mind is a sixth sense, which is subtle. Inside, we are doing sense gratification. Even all kinds of enjoyment, subtle or gross, happens in the mind. When we eat ice cream, for example, what is the ice cream? I mean, what is that eating ice cream? We're putting ice cream in the tongue. But who's enjoying? The mind is feeling very happy. So the mind is the real enjoyer. For the tongue is just gross, okay? But using the tongue and using the intelligence, who is the actual enjoyer? The mind. Because the mind only decides the direction in which we want to go through, I mean, engages the senses. And the mind also, because the mind wants to experience happiness, and the mind is running after the senses. The senses says, oh, I have such a tasty thing, I want to eat it. And the mind immediately is controlled by the senses, and it uses the intelligence to gratify its sense, whichever sense it is, and that gives pleasure to the mind. So ultimately, because we are identifying with the mind and not the soul, we are experiencing material happiness through the mind. It is a sense. Senses are what are engaging in sense gratification. Intelligence is a tool. Mind is the um, I mean, this the passenger, because we are identifying with the mind, soul. We, the soul, are now identifying with our mind, and so whatever happens, the soul is sleeping, and soul is enjoying through the mind. You understand? So that is why the mind is the key. That is why we have to liberate our mind. Mantra liberates the mind from material intelligence to spiritual intelligence, to waking up and getting, the more the mind gets purified, more our Atma wakes up and understand, I'm not this mind, I'm not this body, I'm not this material intelligence, but I am spirit soul. And we get in the spirit soul has also got intelligence, mind, and everything, senses, spiritual senses, spiritual activities, spiritual mind, spiritual intelligence. All this is there in the soul. Right now, because of identifying with the body, which is a machine created by material energy under the direction of Krishna, we are thinking, I am the material senses, mind, and intelligence. Can you figure out how material mind? See, mind is where, see, what do people do? Why do we try to control the mind? Right? The meditation is what? Mind only runs after different things, isn't it? It is not the intelligence. Intelligence can subdue the mind. When we are spiritual engagement, we can use our intelligence to subdue the mind, which is running after different pleasures. So the mind is the enjoyer, and it is running after different pleasures.
Yes. Yes, Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji, explaining. So, Mataji, the modes of material nature, the different
Mm.
modes, they are connected to the mind. Uh,
Yes.
they are
Mind is,
connected.
everything is in the three modes of material nature. Mind is also in three modes, intelligence also in three modes, sense is also in the three modes. Everything is in the three modes.
Okay,
With
all of
different modes. We may have, like, somebody who's very much in tamoguna, in his senses are in tamoguna, then what he will like to eat all meat and all dead, that kind of thing, because of tamoguna senses. Mind also is in tamoguna, getting enjoyment out of tamoguna things, drinks, all these things. So senses are also of different gunas. Mind also. Sattva guna, we like all spiritual things. And the tamoguna and rajoguna, we want all passionate and ignorance things. Mind is always thinking about enjoying in the mode of ignorance and passion. Intelligence also, in the tamoguna intelligence, it will only be interested in knowing about, it will be using, intelligence will be used for, like some people are very intelligent, even thieves and criminals, they're all very intelligent, but how the intelligence is being worked upon for all destructive purposes. or terrorists for that matter. I mean, anything, any criminal activist. So in Tamoguna also intelligence is working. Rajoguna, somebody may be very, skilled and have a lot of knowledge about in technology and other things, how to utilize the resources of the material world. That is mode of passion. And mode of goodness, maybe people are interested more in writing poetry, philosophy, music, dance. That is all sattva guna, enjoyment. I mean, mental activities.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji, for explaining. And because this is really important topic, and I was thinking the verses you read, the three verses, and the following two
Mm.
verses. Also, I was reading the translation is actually also giving some of the clues and answers.
Mm.
The reading we did. So it's kind of other two also connected
Yes.
verses. Yeah. Very nice. Thank you, Mataji. But it's like, how we have to constantly engage in service of Krishna so that way our
Mm.
mind and intentions are, dovetails towards Krishna consciousness. Otherwise,
Yes.
the mind is so tricky and it'll make us do and talk nonsense. And then we think we're doing right. And then later on, we realize sometimes
Mm.
that, we
Mm.
wasted so much time in trying to teach someone something by coming at that level, because and then when we again engage in devotional service, that devotional service makes us realize that how much time we wasted in doing that particular action, you know time we wasted with so and so person, and like that intelligence is keeps on also talking to us and telling us that how you engaged your mind in this, right? It's always chattering. Yeah.
Yeah.
The best way is to read Prabhupada's books, hear lectures, and chant, associate with devotees, and do as much as activities possible where the mind
Mm.
and intelligence senses can be engaged, where Krishna is there. Right,
Mm.
Mataji?
Yes.
That should be our goal. So that way,
Mm.
then away from the modes of material nature also, they will not capture
Yeah.
us. Going into mode of ignorance and then going into some other mode and staying
Yes.
fixed for some time. And luckily, we get fixed up for some time, and then again, we are in some particular mode of passion and doing this and that. And then later again, when we connect to bhakti, like reading books, then we feel, oh, again, we were so much into these things. We should not have done that. We should take this path more seriously. So I'm just saying for myself, Mataji, this is the boat I'm in right now. I try to keep there's a lot of struggle. I mean, I don't know if others face it, but a lot of struggle is there.
Yes. Pure devotional service is not easy. Very, very difficult to always do everything for Krishna. Yeah, we are practicing. That's why by chanting Hare Krishna, we develop the service mood. Then whatever activity we do with Seva Bhav for the satisfaction of Krishna. Whatever activities, even material activities, I mean, in the sense we have to maintain our bodies, we have to have a job, we have to take care of our families, but everything in a mood of Seva for the satisfaction of Krishna. We remember him and do it in a mood of service, not for enjoying with, that is real enjoyment. Real enjoyment is if we start doing everything in a mood of service, then we'll find that there are no material distresses at all. Like when Krishna blessed Dhruva Maharaja, that he told him, you will be ruling for 36,000 years, and in these years you will do all kinds of sacrifices for me, and so you will have no material suffering, you won't have old age, you won't have your body will not become weak. But what will he be doing? I mean, he's going to be a king, but he said that you will do you'll do a lot of charitable works, you'll do a lot of sacrifices. When we do that for Krishna, that is what will give us happiness, and it will not pollute us. I mean, we'll always even, and that will also give all material happiness. So that is the method, and that is what we. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "You keep chanting, and there's going to be a golden age. Golden age will come when we start doing all activities in a mood of service and sacrifice for the pleasure of the Lord, then only even material life will be happy. Like he told Dhruv Maharaja, 36,000 years he's going to be in the material world as a king. And after that, only he'll go to Dhruva Loka, which is spiritual. And he said, you'll give up your body and you'll think of me, Narayana, Anta Narayana Smriti. You'll remember me and come back to me in the Shweta Dvipa. But till then, he said, your material life will also be very happy. Why? Because you're doing everything in the mood of service, sacrifice, charity. And he's the king, imagine. It's not that he's going to be, he's going to engage everything. So, what we need to develop is only the mood of service to Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Mataji, one more thing you mentioned about chanting. You always emphasize chanting in your class. So, chanting the Mahamantra is, we say that, oh Lord, please engage us in your loving devotional service, right?
Mm.
That is
Yes,
the meaning of the Mahamantra.
yes.
Lord, please engage us. So basically, Mataji, when we say this, we, especially for devotees who are doing 16 rounds, that means 2 hours, 2 hours of the 24 hours, we are engaging ourselves in chanting. All we are doing is hearing Lord's name. That's all we
Mm.
are doing, right? So when we
Yes.
say engage us in your loving devotional service, so it seems that sometimes when devotees say this statement, so suppose if I'm mopping a floor or doing some cleaning, I'm
Mm.
actually in service. Like I'm actually uh, like cleaning and wiping and picking the dust and all those things I'm doing. There's a physical activity there, but here it's only lips moving, and so how we can think of this as a loving devotional service? That's because we are hearing Lord's name, and that is also like an loving devotional service, because like service we
No,
can.
the key to everything is the mind. When you're chanting, if you're just chanting without your mind listening to the holy name, is not service. Similarly, if you're mopping the temple floor, but your mind is thinking of something else, that is also not service. Simply physically, you're doing something,
Hmm.
but the whole point is the mind has to be manmana bhava mad bhakto. That is the most important thing, to think about him, to meditate upon him. Then anything you do is devotional service. Even if you're just sitting and chanting, if your mind is full of devotional attitude of service to him, that is service. Chanting is also service because your mind you're giving to Krishna. Mind is the chief s- sense. Physically, if you're doing, but the mind is imagining something else and enjoying, it is not really devotional service, something you're doing mechanically. So mind is the key factor. With the mind also you can do service. We know that how in Chaitanya Charitamrita, when devotee built a road all the way from Puri to Vrindavan, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually experienced all the facilities that he provided with, and or one Brahmana who used to cook because he was very poor. Every day he used to cook a big feast and offer it to Krishna in his mind. And one day I was offering hot, sweet rice. He had just finished cooking in his mind, and then he had offered it to Krishna, and he wanted to put his finger and test whether it is cool enough to offer it to Krishna. And that time he got burnt in mentally. And then when he opened his eyes, his finger was really burnt. So mentally also you can serve Krishna. That is, I mean, mentally only, without mind fully absorbed in Krishna, whatever we do is incomplete. So that is why by chanting Hare Krishna, the mind is getting cleansed. Cheto dharpana marjanam. Only then we can think of Krishna. So chanting is very important. It is not simply just sitting in one place, and that is the most important activity, because only through that we'll develop our devotional attitude to Krishna, service attitude to Krishna. That is why when we are doing even whatever activity, physical activities like cooking or cleaning and all that, always play the Maha Mantra, so that is very important. We remember Krishna and we do it in the mood of devotion and service to him. Mind should not wander here and there when we are doing devotional service.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji, for all the inquiries and questions. And these verses need to be read again and thoroughly understand how, I think the gist of it is we have to engage our mind basically in Krishna, and then, we are actually, that is actually a seva. Otherwise,
Right.
like, I mean, for example, in the morning I was chanting and I realized that, suddenly, I'm just giving an example, Mataji. I'm chanting, and on Tuesday we have this, in USA, they take the trash out, So I suddenly
Mm.
remembered that on Tuesday, on Monday night, I didn't put it out. And I was
Ah.
chanting in the middle of the round. I remembered this. So I suddenly got up, and then with one hand I had my japa bag, then from the other I picked up the trash bag, and now think of it, I'm chanting Mataji, and at the same time, it is such a struggle. I'm picking up the trash bag, and then I'm taking it outside, and then by chance the truck had not come, and then I'm putting it more further, on the driveway, so the person can
Mm.
take it away. And all this is happening while I'm chanting. So I said, no, this round is not done well, because I'm multitasking, and I'm, because my mind suddenly remembered it's trying to tell me to do this and that. So in a situation like this, one should sit again, come back again, and think of no chores, no work to be done, and do the round again, right? You should
Mm.
sit, do the round, repeat that round again, because this keeps on
Mm.
happening. The mind will keep on saying something or the other, and then I get up, my japa bead is in my hand, and then I start doing, and I'm chanting, and at the same time, my other hand is doing something else. I mean, it's not like every time it happens. Sometimes I sit for continuously 2 hours also with nothing there. My mind is so, like you said, Krishna wakes us up. So if Krishna wakes us up early morning, then what do we have to do in the morning? There's nothing much to do from, say, 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock. So we sit quietly, but sometimes it doesn't happen like that. And then we have other things going on. So, uh, it becomes like a struggle then. So in that
Mm.
sense, our mind is chattering with us and saying, okay, go put this out or do that. So that time we should, it's very hard to tell the mind, because that is also necessary. The trash has to go. I'm just giving a mundane example.
That's why we need to chant very early in the morning.
Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. But then, Mataji, how Krishna doesn't wake one up? At least, you said that you have to pray to Krishna, then he wakes us up. Sometimes, even if we sleep early at 8:39, still we are not able to wake up. We need like 8 to 9 hours of sleep, and sometimes 4 or 5
Mm.
hours of sleep. So it's very, very, what do I say, it's how it's not fixed up. Like, I don't know how, maybe some devotees are taking exactly 6 hours sleeping exactly at the same time, but it's not happening with me, Mataji.
Yeah, that too. We have to be determined.
Yes.
If you realize this is the most important thing, and I mean, your life will be completely successful only through this. When you realize, then you will somehow make adjustments, and will give priority to this.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji, for guiding us and telling us so much about the mind and intelligence and reading all these verses, because it is really, one really has to be conscious of all these Bhagavatam verses, because it helps us in our devotional life, spiritual life, our chanting. So
Mm.
really good to have you on the call, Mataji. Thank you. Hare Krishna. I'm sure if others have questions, there are other devotees on the call. Sorry to take so much time.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Pranam always Shri Prabhupada. That's such a nice
Yes.
class. Actually, I was reflecting upon what you said, like Krishna has put us to sleep through his Maya potency because we desired it, and only with Krishna's mercy you can come out of it. And I realized that without Krishna, no, without Krishna or his mercy or the mercy of his disciples, or his mercy of his devotees, nobody will be able to come out. So there is like somebody who may say that, okay, I will take, okay, let me do sense gratification at the after 60 years, I will do bhajan, but that is not possible actually. I mean, and by his or her own way, own effort, nobody will be able to come out. And that's why, like Dehi Namashmichata, sorry, and Daivesha Gunamai Maya Durta Mamaya Prabhu, only with Krishna's mercy or Krishna's devotee's mercy can somebody come out. Really, it's correct. That is the fire of material desires are so strong. Then more and more you attach it to sense objects. More and more it gets entangled. It's like putting ghee to the fire. More and more the fire becomes stronger. Yeah, the
Yes.
Krishna says that Duspurana Analanacha. Yeah, nice to hear, and thank you for your purifying association, Mataji, and your nectarian class. It was so nice. Yeah, very good.
Yes. Yes, Prabhu, thank you. Thank you very much for sharing your realizations.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so
Dandavat.
much for this, such a beautiful class. And the last sentence you did say that it's Krishna's mercy that then only we can do the pure chanting and doing the spiritual progress. So thank you for that explanation, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, shall we end the thing? Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai,
Jai.
Srimad Bhagavatam Granth ki jai.
Jai.
Vanchakalpatarubhishya kripa sindhubhyo patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai.
Har Grace Premji Mataji ki jai. Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
You
Thank
did
you.
only one verse, Mataji, right?
No, three verses.
Okay. Okay. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Sorry, I was a little away from phone.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. ज्ञान के मार्ग से काढू शकतो.